We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run into any trouble then.
Actually, we are still investigating. It's just that...
I see. The clues you found have led you back here.
Something like that.
You all look a little dispirited. Whatever you found, why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe...
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father.
So something is wrong. Even the on any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile. So...
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you.
The Master. Okay, I understand. My father has been...
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard... Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
I can't help but agree with the
Huh? You mean you feel it?
Thank you for sharing all this information. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about... In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me, so... However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30.
About that. Well, the Homiyanis really needed bodyguards. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen. He offered me a pile of mora, so
Well, but that didn't really answer my question.
Maybe the Corps of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I think I get what you're saying. You'd think none of this was a coincidence.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seemed strange or out of place. But if my father had always been in contact with the Khan al-Akmar, then it would make sense.
You mean the goal all along was to get...
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father...
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim?
Sorry we put all this on you so sudden.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be thanking you. Regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent...
But is that really the right... My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to... However, the Homiyani family... If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homiyani family.
Tia.
It's all right, Dia. If anyone were to ask, you could always just say...
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility.
Hey! It's still too early to give up hope! What was the thing about friendship again? Right, yeah, trust! Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed...
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. In which case, my lady, could you...
Sure thing. I also hope he'll be able to give us a logical explanation.
Usual place?
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two.
Yes, my daughter has mentioned them from time, but we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the...
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention.
So, that's what you found? Huh.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And what I do know, though, dear, is that the truth will bring you no...
Wait, me?
Yes. I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And but knowledge always comes at a price. Your father, Kusela, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but the facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt effort...
His heartfelt efforts? I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my... I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to I came here today to support you as the head of the Homiyani family.
I understand. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, those Eremites were Kusela's brigade. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was
Really?
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on... We started talking about our children, and I sensed that to repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time.
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need... At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her but he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the blazing beasts.
So he was the one who recommended Dia.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able... If Dia could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually...
And that's why you offered her such
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for... And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. Kusela saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never...
He was always like that. Acting like...
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dia's fees. I refused to take any more of her. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while. The letter contained a request to help him by...
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dekan al-Ahmar...
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. That thought occurred to me as well. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead... In the end, it probably was the wrong decision.
If you can, please tell me where he is now. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying... If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me in.
Oh no, Dia...
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions. Another way? I don't know. I knew him and he was nothing more than a childish brute. But I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth yet.
I'll do my best to help. Of course, anything between the two... I don't know Kusela's exact whereabouts. Outside of supplying his brigade with... However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He used to be a mercenary in the desert and is now... He's responsible for supplying weapons and liaising with the Dekan al-Ahmars. I've heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy the cool wind at night.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Then...
I'll stay and be with my father here. To be honest, my father has indeed done something wrong, but if I think about it, I feel like our only course of action is to turn
Yes. I am prepared. It's time to face my mistake.
Huh? Who are you?
I know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for the Corps.
Shh! Keep your voice down. How do you come with me? We should take this elsewhere. I'll be happy to talk things. This place should do. All right. Back to my question.
Don't worry about that for now. You know what kind of punishment.
Wait. There's no need to jump the gun. Let's talk this out. What do you turn?
So what's in it for you anyway? Mora?
Well, I was a little tight on money at the time, and Kusela took... I weighed it in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down. I wouldn't only be helping my benefactor.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating Dakan al-Akmar, and we're gonna put in... If you provide some help for us, then we might just put in a good word.
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen, I made quite a bit of more for my last...
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when a mercenary is after something up.
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words for... They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were at the last time I made my delivery to... Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling you, though, it's not on me.
Sure. And then you can forget about any nice work.
Hey, come on. Now you...
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a trap? Don't forget, you're...
All right, I get it. Why don't you go take a look, and if they're not there any...
Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you, try to stick around the city until we get back. You don't want... Seems like we're in luck. That should be their camp. Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves. I'm here to see Kusela. Tell him to get out here.
Dear, why are you here?
That hurt! Into the wind. As one with wind and cloud.
Haven't you all done enough?
Oh, so are you also here to stop us?
Stay out of this. It's got nothing to do with you.
Look alive! Witness the power of Gurwa!
One with nature.
Higher, hands on fire! See?
No, she's so...
Enough fighting. We all know each other, and I don't want to take things too far. Just bring Kusela to me. There's no use hiding him anymore. Did you understand a single word I just said? Or do I...
All right, everyone, let's all just calm down for... Dia. He died.
What?
Seems like you've been out of the loop for a while. Guess that's for the best, though. At least, that...
When did he die? What happened?
A few years ago, Kusela broke up Dakan al-Ahmar and went to the Deshret's Relics headquarters by himself.
So is that when you guys started acting up?
We would prefer to call it taking revenge. Every last person in Deshret's Relics must pay in blood for...
Let me start from the beginning. Dia, do you know how...
Overwhelming strength and unquestionable authority.
Those were a part of it, yes. But just those on their own weren't enough. Regardless of whether they joined by their own will or were coerced, every person in Deshret's Relics, whether it be their deepest sin, some unforgivable act, or their most immoral exploit, the record served, that's precisely it. Every one of us have a record. Me, but you, Dia. You were never...
I never even knew this was a...
You were probably the only person in all of Deshret's Relics who didn't know about it.
Ever since you were born, Boss had been trying to shield you from this organization's... Not only that, but he also banned all of us from committing any nefarious acts. He said he'd... But in the end, he was just an ordinary person. What could he do? He was forced to go to headquarters again and again to account for missed dues and incomplete records. He'd come up with all kinds of...
We all knew he was doing that for you. He wanted to get you out of this world.
And that's why he became a shell of himself and couldn't...
Wait, but that doesn't make any sense.
Because you were too young at the time. How would you ever tell between wounds from a beating and wounds from battle? When you left home after that final argument with him, he seemed to age by a decade overnight. Even his hair went gray.
So, even the blazing beasts were...
Yep. It was all his doing. Had he not arranged them to...
A few years ago, Boss said he needed to make another trip to headquarters. He was already pretty... I suggested that he hand the role of leadership over to me, but he said there was no longer any... His words made no sense to me. But that night, we heard that a massive fire tore through headquarters and raided...
Everyone gained their freedom that night. Many members fled, not just from our ranks, but from the other brigades. But how could we leave with a clear conscience? All of us who knew...
The boss can't have just died for nothing. Those heartless...
From that point on, the sole purpose, the big fire that Boss started was quite a blow to headquarters strength. Even though we're outnumbered, we vowed to see our revenge through to the very end. There were people from headquarters who changed their names and went into hiding. Some fled to other brigades, but we won't let any of them escape our wrath.
We've suffered plenty of losses as well. To keep going, we need an enormous amount of supply. All we can do is exchange our loot from Mora, and then use... We forged Boss's handwriting and sent out many letters to his former friends. We were also able to attract many mercenaries who shared our goal. We've endured... Deshret's relics have become weaker and weaker, and now, we finally have...
Paimon doesn't know what to say anymore.
We do know right from wrong, but we were sinners from the very beginning. We do not... Boss always loved his old-fashioned hero stories. We used to always laugh at him for it. But in the end, as for me, I never considered myself a hero. We're all... But maybe those hero stories he liked foreshadowed everything that was... Maybe we were all just acting along with the play in the beginning. But as we acted the parts and recited the line... I'm sorry, Dia. I know you always found us insufferable ever since you were young.
I'll go with you.
Huh? Dia?
I grew up with these guys, and I know they're not bad people. It's just that all I know is that Deshret's relics must be destroyed. Furthermore, I want to go see the place for myself. I know you don't want to get involved in this, so there's no need for you to tag along. I can do this on my own.
Yeah. Paimon feels like we'd only regret it if we...
Thank you. We'll be a lot...
I bet Boss would lose his mind if he ever knew...
Considering all the losses and injuries we sustained, we can't afford to turn...
He can think whatever he wants. But the fact is, I owe it.